Okay, no.
Welcome back, guys. We are down here again at the lockup and we're doing more work to this wonderful machine. If you see, we have actually been busy. So I've paint stripped most of the car back to the base, which is actually white, and I've even thrown a white guard over here just so I can start to see what the car looks like all one colour. Again, I'm not actually painting it white, but I just wanted to see what it looked like one colour. The other thing, I actually clearanced, been thrashing away at the front guards, getting clearance for these front wheels, and I think we're mostly there now. But yeah, I decided I'd just beat it up. I took it down and done a wheel alignment on it just to get the wheels sitting where they were before I started to beat up the guards and stuff, just so I didn't beat in the wrong place for too long. But yes, that's all properly wheel aligned now, and like I say, all beat up for front wheel clearance, so that's good. And today we're actually pulling the gearbox out of it. The release bearing has been pretty noisy and it's starting to make some real funny noises, so I'm pretty sure it's just the release bearing, or I hope it is. And so we're going to pull the box out and just check that. Realistically, I should probably be upgrading the clutch anyway, so I'll see what the clutch is like in it, and then maybe look at putting a proper heavy duty clutch in it for when we turbo it and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what we're in the middle of at the moment. I've actually already taken the top bolts out from the top and taken the gear stick out, but I'm not sure. I've actually haven't done an SR box before, so I'm not sure if you can usually just drop the back of the box and get to the top bolts and stuff. But A, I didn't have my long extensions on me, and B, I just decided to play it safe and rip them out from the top. So yeah, and got the gearbox oil out now. It's actually a real weird oil. It's like a green oil, almost like the shockproof stuff you can get, but then it's quite milky, so I don't know. But there's not a lot of metal filings in there, luckily, so that's why I'm hopeful that it's just the release bearing. But yeah, I'll go ahead now and carry on ripping out this box, and then we'll see what's wrong. Alright guys, we've got the box out. It's actually pretty similar to an RB in that. It's pretty easy to do, but my stand doesn't really give you enough room around the bell housing to get it straight out, so it gets a bit fiddly. But it's out, it's on the bench, and unfortunately my release bearing is actually pretty good. It's pretty smooth, so yeah, I don't think it's that. But yeah, possibly wasn't the release bearing at all. But what I've found from pulling it apart further is the spigot actually has some weird marks on it, so possibly a problem there. The release bearing's alright, but then as you can see, I pulled this front cover off and I'm starting to think it's an internal bearing. So when I pull this off, I can see these have been done, because usually that isn't a sealed bearing there, these ones. Usually they're an open bearing, oil goes through them and stuff. So yeah, somebody's been in here before and replaced things. But you will, I don't know if you hear it, that way is quite smooth, that way is quite noisy. So whether it's these bearings, even though they're new, or something further in, the box is going to have to come apart, which I wasn't that keen to do with this car, go to these sort of lengths, but I mean, yeah, I kind of have to, and it's probably a good time to do it, just check it over and make sure it's all good. So yeah, I will drag it all down to my work and pull this thing apart. So either way, the plan is to throw probably a new release bearing, a new spigot bearing, and whatever bearings internally the box needs. Alright guys, we've brought the box down to my work and I've pulled the housings off it so I can take a look inside. And there's good and bad news. So as you can see, is the guts of it, and I've cleaned this side of it. You can see this side's still got the really thick green oil on it all over it, but I've cleaned that side because I need to take a closer look at some stuff. But good news is the bearings have actually all been replaced. So even these back ones and the two main ones in here have both been replaced as well, and they all feel pretty good. So that's a bonus, that's a good thing. I don't need to do any bearings. But what I've found is that the clearance, I think, between these two, because if we spin the shaft, I can hear a noise back here, and we spin it one way it's fine, spin it the other, and what I think is happening is the clearance between here is too tight, because I actually have an RB 20 depth box over here that I was in the middle of replacing some bearings on, and if we take a look at the clearance between those two gears, can you see in there? Yeah, you can see light through there, so there's supposed to be a bit of clearance, whereas this one has none, it is touching. So, and you can see on the back there are marks where you can see that the gear's been rubbing. So I think that's our noise, and if it is, then that's a bonus. I don't have to replace anything. But the bad news, I'm not actually sure why it's got no clearance. So I'm not sure if this gear is too far that way, or that gear is too far that way. Oh, this way, that way, opposite. So yeah, I've got to figure out why they're so close to each other. So it's going to have to come apart, this backside, and work that out. It's a new day. I came back down here this morning, and after scratching my head for a little bit on what could be wrong with it, I kind of decided on a few variables, and then I decided I actually really couldn't be bothered pulling it all apart to decide. So I actually decided to sort of RFB it and do a quick fix that is not ideal. So I haven't filmed it. I'm not actually going to show you because I probably don't want to encourage people to fix it like this. So yeah, it's sorted now, and I've just got to clean everything up. As you can see, I've cleaned all that up. I had another look at well, I went over all the synchros and everything properly, and typical second looks a little bit worn, and so does fourth actually, but yeah, I'm not too worried about that. They're not that bad, so we'll run it like that, and yeah, put the housings on now and throw it back together. Fortunately, I actually found down here, I knew I had a couple of spigot bearings, which these are RB ones, which I presume are the same as Sylvia SR stuff, and some of the release bearing. I found a good release bearing in that style and a brand new one in the other style. So got that all sorted, glue that back together, the housings on, and then go back and throw it all back together, I guess, and fingers crossed. Well, we're back down the lockup, and the box is all back together, ready to throw back in. I went with that release bearing there, so yeah, that's pretty quiet, should be good. And then as for the clutch, I actually don't know how to tell if they're turbo clutches or not. I mean, it doesn't look very heavy duty, it's not exactly double sprung or anything, but I can tell it's fairly new, and yeah, I'm gonna take a chance and run it. So yeah, I've just got to throw that back in, and then the spigot, you can see on the end here it's pretty rough, and inside's a little bit weird. I presume this is just because someone got a bit rough with it when they were putting it in last time, and maybe they didn't oil it. So yeah, got a couple new ones there that I will oil, or one of them I'll oil and throw in. Throw the clutch on, throw the gearbox back in, and then hopefully our noises are gone. Not gonna lie, if they're not, you guys will probably never see this video. Well, we're back in my work, and that's because this car is testing me. It was actually a nightmare to even get the box back in yesterday. There's no room in the tunnel for the bell housing and stuff, so it's fiddly as, and eventually we got that in, got it all back together, and then it decided it wasn't going to start. It started cranking real weird, and then actually ended up basically smoking up the jump start pack I had on it. So yeah, I was scratching my head a bit, didn't know what to do, so sort of tested a few things, mucked around, eventually pulled the starter motor back out and found that even on the bench by itself was smoking the jump start pack up. So what I've done is I've brought the starter motor down to work, pulled it apart. I pulled it apart yesterday, and there isn't actually a lot wrong with it, apart from it's just really dirty. So I don't know why it's doing. I've tested that. All this looks alright, it just needs cleaning up. Even the brush pack actually still has a bit of life in it, so I'm really hoping it just needs a clean, and then that's the starter motor. But I am worried there's another variable in it, because obviously it was starting fine before, so it's only done this now that I had the box in and out. So I've got to put this all back together, hopefully get the starter cranking fine, and then fingers crossed that's it. If not, figure out why the hell it's done this. Alrighty, we are cleaned, rebuilt, tested, and hopefully she's good to go. Sounds good, so I'll go back, throw this in, and God, I hope it's ready to go. Starter's in, moment of truth. Ooh. God for that. Right, let's see if this... Righto guys, I'm going to wrap this one up there. We got there in the end. It took longer than expected, typical, but we got rid of the noises and stuff. But now I've basically run out of stuff to do to this, or I have run out of stuff to do until I can get some more parts and stuff and this lockdown and that stuff's lifted. Yeah, we're at a bit of a halt with this car. So next up, I'm probably going to focus on getting all the stuff I need to turbo it. So start gathering some bits and stuff like that so we can throw some boost at it. I have actually sussed some front guards and stuff for it, but again, I've got to be able to leave town to go grab them. So yeah, until this is lifted and I start getting some more stuff, we might not work on this one for a little while yet, but hopefully soon. And until then, yeah, cheers for watching, guys.